Merhaba, Türkiye'nin Ekonomi Televizyonu'na hoş geldiniz. Ben Saida Zahidova ve her hafta olduğu gibi önemli konu başlıklarını masaya yatırmaya ve birbirinden önemli konuklara yer vermeye devam ediyoruz. Bir taraftan pandeminin yarattığı olumsuzluklar, diğer taraftan ekonomideki negatif veriler ve bir diğer taraftan ise ABD'deki 3 Kasım seçimleri ve tüm bunların gölgesinde kalan ABD ve Çin arasında yaşanan ticaret savaşı ve bu hafta dünyanın en büyük iki ekonomisi olan ABD ve Çin arasındaki rekabeti Asyalı uzmanla değerlendireceğiz. Çin medya grubunda politik analist olan Xu Qinduo bizlerle beraber olacak. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Xu. I would like to start asking about one of the important topics in the world right now that everybody is talking, what will happen to the dispute between China and USA. And behind the diplomatic smiles, there is an increasingly hostile trade war. And also, USA and China dispute now is a currency war and is resulting the decline of stocks. I am interested from your point of view how this soft Cold War will continue. I mean, is it going to continue or is it going to end? What's your opinion about that in general, please?
Well, it is going to continue. It's not really about, or it's not only about, say, the trade issue, the technology issue, or the currency issue, or the even ideological issue. It's largely about the structural issue here. You have a rising power, China. You have an established power, the United States. So inside the U.S., there is a growing anxiety. Like people are concerned or afraid of the continuous rise of China, which may challenge the U.S. predominant position around the world. And so that's the concern. And how can you do it? So one way is to contain the rise of China or stop or slow down the rise of China. So that's why you see not only the trade war at the beginning of the Trump administration, and then gradually you have seen this technology war, war against the Chinese high-tech companies, and also ideological war advocated by Secretary of State Pompeo, etc. So the U.S. is trying to build a coalition against China, mostly for geopolitical interests or global influence here.
Okay, we know that the dispute and the war between USA and China has been rocky since 2018, and when the two sides started the tariff war and the escalating the trade war between the United States and China risks a breakdown in global trade. And do you think the trade talks will is about the new world order? I mean, do you think we are entering the new world order?
Well, when we, before answering that question, if you take a look at the current world order, which is actually created by the United States and also US-led West at the end of the Second World War. But if you look at the current US administration, so you see the withdrawal from the World Health Organization, withdraw from the Paris Agreement against climate change, withdraw from the UN's Human Rights Council or TPP, etc. So the US is actually changing the world order, which was created by the United States. So you can see, in a sense, yes, we are a new world order, which is not really clear. But anyway, the world order is being changed or being shaped, reshaped, let's say, mostly by the behavior and the policy choices by the Trump administration. At the same time, you do see there is a rising of the emerging economies or rising of economies, for example, China, India, Russia, Turkey, etc. That's more or less are changing the world order. But usually, I would say the most dominant force in the change of the world order is the US. Unfortunately, it's not clear what kind of a new order we are going to have. Right now, what we are seeing is more chaos and more problems and more instability, also uncertainty about the future.
Do you think USA acting more aggressively towards China?
You mean the U.S. policy toward China?
U.S. Trump administration, let's say that?
Yes, mostly, of course, in recent, let's say, in the beginning of this year or this half of year, you can see there's the intensification of, I would say, attacks from Washington against Beijing. So these two countries are the largest countries, the most powerful countries in the world. So the relationship between China and the United States is not only about the two countries or about the two peoples. It's about the peace and the stability of the whole world. If the U.S.
Exactly.
and China, their relationship is becoming uncertain, is becoming chaotic, is becoming more hostile to each other, and the whole world will be affected as a result. Unfortunately, this is the reality. We
Yeah.
say, China relationship is not only about the interests of China or the interests of the United States. It's also about, most important, about the peace and the stability. Even peace and war matter or life and death matter for the whole world. So that's critical.
I see. Like tension between China and USA is higher than ever, because the both
Mhm.
countries constantly are closing down. They ordered it, and Trump administration demand that China shut down its consulate in Houston. How you will see the impact of this? I mean, where we go from here? I mean, do you think both countries will not go for agreement at the end?
Good question. As we said, we are seeing more uncertainty, not only about the world, but also the future of China-U.S. relationship. One example is the closing down of the Chinese consulate in Houston. Of course, the U.S. Late after the decision was made public, they provided some unfounded accusation like espionage, etc. But anyway, I would say the act of closing down the Chinese consulate was a shock, was
Yeah.
shocking to a lot of people, including those observers who closely following the China-U.S. relationship. It's like a political stand for Chinese people and Chinese side that the Trump administration is very hard to shift the attention from its mishandling of the COVID-19 to rising tension or to creating some tension between China and the US. That way, somehow they could shift or shirk their responsibility for the death of the increasing number of Americans or infections, and then they can point the finger at China. It's all China's fault somehow. It's not their incompetency; it's China's fault. So somehow you can see this relationship has been kidnapped or has been victimized because of the upcoming general election, because the intention of the Trump administration or Trump himself to get reelected. So,
Yeah.
we know Trump, he will do everything he can in order to get reelected.
I see. That's where I want to come right now. I mean, China is the second largest economy in the world and largest trending nations in international arena. And China built a highest speed railway, and there are many things like that. How do you think the USA election on November will shape the relationship? Do you think it's going to get better in the future, or do you think it will still continue? I mean, who do you think is going to be better for China and USA relationship, Biden or Trump?
This is interesting. A lot of people are trying to figure out, which candidate is going to good for China-U.S. relationship or good
Yeah.
for China. From that point of view, it's really none of Chinese business. It's up to the American people, up to American people to make a choice which candidate they think that will serve the best interest of the United States. Currently, of course, we can do some analysis to look at their policies, for example, is widely considered as part of the establishment, more traditional in terms of handling foreign relations, for example. Of course, I would say whoever will become the president, the U.S. I would say hardline policy toward China will remain there, will remain unchanged. It's really about in what way and how they are going to be tough on China. For Trump, it's very unpredictable. It's, I would say, full of adventure. and full of disruption in terms of the bilateral relationship, in terms of the U.S.-China policy.
Yeah.
For Biden, the China policy could be more consistent and it could be tough, but more consistent and more predictable. So in that sense, I would say that would be a normal country-to-country relationship.
So you mean,
With that,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but so you mean that Biden will use more civilized language toward China?
yeah, well, I would say so. Not only the civilized language, more diplomatic language, but also I think if you look at Biden himself and his people now working for him, so they are looking at, of course, on one hand, there's conflict will continue. I would say that's a tough China policy is the consensus of the United States. Either Republican Party or Democratic Party, they will be tough on China because they want to maintain the dominant position around the world. They want to say we are number one. We will continue to lead for another 100 years. So they are not happy, probably not happy to see the continuous rise of China or the challenge from China. Secondly, they would say they also
I'm sorry for disturbing again, but I think Trump is using "First America" phrase most of the time. That's why
yes.
I think the tension is increasing between countries.
Yes, for Trump, it's really undiplomatic. It's naked national interest. As long as it serves the U.S. interest, and he doesn't care about the world. So he doesn't care about what people think of the U.S. even. So that's the style of Trump. But for Biden, Biden is more rational. He would also think about where we can cooperate with China. For example, climate change or
Yeah.
natural disasters or the coordination of the fight against the trafficking or drug trafficking, etc. So you do see there's more rationality with Biden administration if there's one. But even with Trump's re-election win, I would say could be of a chance to stabilize the relationship because if Trump get re-elected, he would be happier than now because he's not happy now and he's not happy with the coronavirus situation. He's not happy with the economic situation and the rising number of unemployed people. But he's
Exactly.
not blaming himself, right? He's blaming China. So if win the election, he would be say less blame on China, he would be more celebratory about his victory. So there would be a chance probably to stabilize somehow the relationship between the two countries. But largely, people would see there would be continuous deterioration between China and the United States if there's I would say, a re-election of Trump.
I see. Um, like I call this one as a soft Cold War between China and USA, and this is like it's not with the weapons or guns. It's kind of with like technology and with tariffs or Twitter feeds, let's say that. And any company in the future that controls the 5G technology then will have an advantage over others in economic and technological space. So this 5G technology is very important for both countries, and they're really fighting for it. And it's a technological war right now. So who do you think will control the 5G in the future?
I disagree a little bit with the understanding of 5G. Frankly speaking, we are yet to fully understand, what kind of a role 5G is going to provide. Some people say with 5G, we are going to have a faster internet connection. So that will provide the foundation for the development of AI technology, for big data technology, etc. So
Yeah.
that's very important, let's say. But all people agree it is important. In terms of the command of the technology, I would say when people say, of course people are looking at Huawei being attacked by the U.S., being cracked down by the U.S. and its allies. So Huawei probably will be shrinking in terms of its global outreach, in terms of its global rule. But also remember, Huawei will continue to develop inside China, China, a market of 1.4 billion people. So it's a huge market. So
It
China's
is.
5G will continue to develop. I would say China is not lagging behind the US, at least in terms of 5G technology. So in that sense, I would say, we are not talking about winning this war because for China, we don't see it as a war against the US or against any other country. We think that's the development, that's the foundation for better public welfare for human beings, not only the Chinese people, American people, or Turkish people. I would say it's in the interest of everybody else in the whole world. So we should actually coordinate and working together in terms of 5G technology. But the US side basically under the excuse of national security, without any solid evidence, they launched a full attack against Huawei using national power to crack down on the Chinese company. That's the demonstration of unfair trade, unfair practice in terms of competition with China.
I see. Let's go back to the election, please. I have one more question that I would like to ask. It's in media, it's been said that Russia is influencing the election and China is taking a side. How do you see the relationship between Russia and China and how it will affect after the election? Well, just a brief information, please.
Well, China and Russia, they have enjoyed a strong and solid and stable relationship between the two countries. Economically, you can see China provides a lot of aid for oil and gas, even for weaponry, for Russian weaponry. This is the biggest market. So for Russia, when in particular, when they were under severe sanction from the US and its European allies, they have a policy of turning to the east, basically turning to in terms of bank loans, in terms of a market. So I don't think Russia will make any change about its China policy because China is its largest market. So to have a strong business relationship is in the interest of Russia. And for China, there's no reason for China to do anything against Russia. We share a long border. We would love to see peace and stability along our borders and continue to do business with Russia and continue to have people-to-people exchange. And China and Russia, they have internationally, they have a similar or identical views on a lot of international issues. So in that sense, they are working together closely, probably in the sense of the hegemony, let me use this word, of the United States or sometimes European countries. So with the United States, whatever or whoever will become the new president, I don't think there will be any effects or any impact on China-US relationship.
How do you see the Turkish relationship then? I mean, do you think this trade war between China and USA is an opportunity for Turkey?
I would say countries like Turkey and actually many other countries, they can make a good use of this rising tension between China and the US. The US is trying to draw more and more allies against China, and China, of course, is trying to working more closely with other countries to strengthen or reinforce the business relationship, for example, with Turkey. So in that sense, I would say that's an opportunity for countries like Turkey to improve its relationship with China, not only in the large market, for example, increasing number of Chinese young Chinese, they would love to visit Turkey because they see that as a wonderful travel or tourism destination, and also more investment from China to build the infrastructure for Turkey, and more, even if Turkey needs, that would be easier to get the bank loans from China and more assistance from China. That would be very easy, probably getting easier because of the tension between China and the United States. And of course, Turkey would be in a very advantageous position to strengthen its relationship or bargain with the United States. I know the relationship with the U.S. is, there are some problems. The U.S. would love Turkey probably in whatever move to serve the interests of the U.S. But Turkey is a sovereign nation. Turkey is a proud nation. For China, we respect, the interest. We respect the national integrity of Turkey, of Turkish people. I think Turkey is in a stronger position.
Let's come to the Taiwan issue, one of the important topics in China or in the world. As Taiwan rejects the one country, two system, do you think Taiwan will be the next dominant to go? I mean, do you think that Taiwan is benefiting most from this trade war? Because both countries have a very high interest on over Taiwan, and recently the tension increased because of Taiwan. So how do you see the situation?
Yes, we see the tension increases across the Taiwan Strait, mostly for two reasons. On one hand, the U.S. would like to play the Taiwan card against China for sending its health secretary to Taiwan and creating a precedent in history to raise the level of exchanges between the United States and Taiwan. And secondly, for Taiwan, of course, they want to increase its international profile to be more recognized, not only by the US, but also by other countries, because that's the interest of the independence mandate, the DPP, the ruling party in Taiwan. But also remember, if you have a long-term view, that's a very dangerous game for the politicians to play, because for China, Taiwan is part of this country, and it's about territorial integrity. For China, there is no way to step back from territorial integrity and national sovereignty. So there's nothing China can say, oh, we can sacrifice or we can compromise on our national sovereignty. No, if Taiwan, declare independence or choose to be independent or recognized by the U.S. as an independent country, I assure you there will be a destructive war over there, unfortunately. So that's why China says we cannot give up this the right to use military force even in the worst scenario if Taiwan is forced by the U.S. to declare independence, and there is no choice for China. You have to do whatever you can to protect your own national interests, to protect your national sovereignty and territorial integrity. So in that sense, I would say the final victim would be Taiwan and Taiwan people. So politicians in Taiwan should be really careful and should look at this issue with a long point of view instead of a short-term interest, and not to be used by Washington as a pawn against the interests of China.
So do you think USA interfering Chinese internal issues a lot?
Oh, of course, not only the U.S. is interfering the Chinese internal affairs. We know there is a long record of U.S. interfering in the interests of many countries, including that of Turkey. Like U.S. also launched the wars against the Muslim countries, for example, Iraq, Syria, and Libya, Afghanistan, etc. And their anti-terror war, for example, by using drones, they killed probably hundreds of thousands of civilians, without any accountability. But because the U.S. is the only superpower, and very few other countries can hold the U.S. accountable. If the International Criminal Court, for example, the justice over there or the prosecutor there, they are trying to investigate the possible crime against humanity in Afghanistan made by U.S. soldiers. And then you receive a threat from Washington from Mike Pompeo. So there's a visa suspension
Yeah.
of the prosecutor and her family members. And also the U.S. threatened to do their own investigation against the international court. So there is nothing the international organization can do against the U.S. The U.S. sees itself basically in terms of this issue, they are above the law. They are above the international law and the international rule. Every other country should follow the rule except the U.S. So I would say this is extremely unfair for the rest of the whole world.
I see. Thanks very much for your opinion and for your time. It was an honor to have you in our program. We'll listen from Chinese side what will happen between these two countries, and hope to see you in another program.
Thank you for hosting this show. I enjoyed it.
Bugünkü röportajımızın da sonuna geldik. ABD ve Çin arasında yaşanan gerginliği ve ticaret savaşlarını değerlendirdik. Bu sefer Asya tarafından bir uzmanla değerlendirdik. Bir dahaki haftaya görüşmek dileğiyle, hoşça kalın.